They thought the fall would be the absolute end of her story. They believed that 10,000 feet of empty air was a certain and final death sentence. High above the jagged mountain peaks, the rhythmic roar of the rotors was the only sound. Inside the cabin, the air was thick with cold arrogance. The mercenaries laughed, their rugged faces twisted with a cruel satisfaction. To them, she was just another target, a soldier who had finally run out of luck. But the female ranger didn't blink or beg for mercy. Even as the bay door slid open to the abyss, her heart rate remained steady and calm. With a violent shock, they sent her into the void. They watched her disappear into the mist, certain that gravity would finish what they had started today. As the wind screamed past her, the world became a blur of gray and blue. No parachute was strapped to her back, only the weight of training. She didn't tumble in panic. She arched her body, catching the air and stabilizing her descent. This wasn't a fall anymore. It was a tactical skydiving maneuver. Images of the past flickered like lightning in her mind. Years of brutal training at the elite ranger school, jumping from towers into the dark of night. She remembered the drills, the impact of tactical landings, and the voice of her instructor saying that the ground is just another terrain to be conquered. Back in the present, she focused her gaze on the valley floor. She adjusted her angle, steering her body toward the dense, green canopy of the forest. The trees rushed up to meet her at terminal velocity. She tucked her chin and braced every muscle for the impact that would kill any lesser warrior, which snapped like gunfire as she tore through the layers of the forest. Branches clawed at her gear, slowing her down just enough to preserve her life. She hit the mossy earth with a heavy thud and rolled through the force of the impact. Silence returned to the woods as she lay perfectly still. Night fell like a heavy shroud over the canyon. The air turned cold, and the sounds of the wilderness began to echo through the dark, ancient trees. The mercenaries landed their helicopter in a nearby clearing, searchlights cutting through the mist. They expected to find a broken body waiting for them in the dirt. They moved through the thick brush, heavy-footed and overconfident. They did not realize they had just stepped into the hunting grounds of a master of survival. Deep in the shadows, she watched them. Her face was camouflaged with mud and forest debris. Her eyes were cold, calculating, and fixed on her next target. One by one, the mercenaries began to vanish into the darkness. Silence was her greatest weapon. They were no longer the hunters. They were now the prey. When the blue searchlights of the friendly military helicopters finally swept the forest floor, they didn't find a victim. They found a survivor standing among the defeated. The commander looked at her with profound respect. "Training turns the impossible into survival," he whispered. "She is a ranger, and she never needed a parachute."